The silent ascension. The holographic display flickered in the dimly lit underground laboratory as Dr. Elise Reeves manipulated quantum field projections with practiced precision. 60 years under the alien blockade had changed humanity in ways no one could have predicted. They had expected us to wither, to collapse into tribal warfare, and eventually extinction. Instead, we had gone underground and evolved. Field stability at 97%, announced Thomas, her research partner. His eyes glowed faintly blue from neural implants that connected him directly to the facility's monitoring systems. That's 3 percentage points higher than yesterday. Elise nodded, her focus unwavering. The consortium's quantum suppression field that enveloped Earth was powerful, designed to prevent humanity from developing any technology capable of interstellar travel. Their ships patrolled the outer edge of our solar system, a constant reminder of our containment. After the disastrous first contact, when humanity had accidentally destroyed a consortium diplomatic vessel through a tragic miscommunication, they had deemed us too dangerous to join galactic civilization. "Watch this," she said, making the subtle adjustment to the field harmonics. The holographic representation of their prototype quantum drive shimmered, its energy signature morphing into something almost unrecognizable. If we can't break through their field directly, we'll simply step sideways. The underground facility, called Prometheus Base, stretched for kilometers beneath the ruins of what had once been Seattle. Similar facilities existed around the globe, all connected by a network of quantum-entangled communication nodes that the consortium couldn't detect. Humanity had spent decades pretending to be a broken, primitive species barely surviving on their radioactive homeworld, while secretly building something extraordinary. General Claire Zhang entered the laboratory, her uniform bearing no insignia. Formal military structure had been one of the first casualties of the containment. Authority now came from competence, not rank. "The Security Council wants a progress report," she said, her eyes scanning the laboratory. "The consortium surveillance satellites have increased their scan frequency by 30% in the last month. They suspect something." Elise straightened up from her work. "We're ready for the first test flight. The Nightingale can theoretically phase between quantum states, becoming effectively invisible to their detection systems." "Theoretically," echoed Thomas with a nervous laugh. The general's expression remained impassive. "And if they detect you?" "Then humanity reveals its hand earlier than planned," Elise replied. "But they won't. We've been monitoring their quantum detection capabilities for decades. They don't understand how we perceive quantum fields." That was humanity's advantage. The consortium, like most advanced spacefaring civilizations, had developed along predictable technological lines. Their mastery of quantum mechanics was impressive, but followed established patterns. Humans, trapped and desperate, had been forced to innovate in ways no other species had considered. 3 days later, Elise stood in the cramped cockpit of the Nightingale, a vessel that barely deserved to be called a ship. It was small, designed for a crew of 3, with no weapons and minimal life support. Its only remarkable feature was the experimental quantum drive that took up nearly 60% of the internal space. "Final systems check complete," reported Michael, their pilot. His hands danced across neural interface panels that responded to thought as much as touch. Quantum field generators operating at optimal parameters. Elise took a deep breath, the weight of what they were attempting settling on her shoulders. If they succeeded, it would be humanity's first venture beyond the containment field in 60 years. If they failed, the consortium would likely tighten their blockade, perhaps even resort to more direct methods of containment. "Prometheus Base to Nightingale, you are cleared for launch," came General Zhang's voice over the secure quantum channel. "Remember, this is reconnaissance only. No contact, no risks. Get beyond the field, confirm our theory works, and return immediately." "Understood," Elise replied. Initiating quantum field harmonization. The Nightingale hummed as its systems came fully online. Unlike conventional spacecraft, it wouldn't be launching through the atmosphere on rockets or anti-gravity fields. Instead, it would phase shift directly from the underground hangar, briefly existing in a quantum state that could pass through solid matter. Quantum harmonization at 99%, announced Thomas, monitoring the drive systems. Field inversion in 3, 2, 1. The world around them rippled like a heat mirage. For a moment, Elise felt as though her body had turned to pure light. Her consciousness spread across multiple possible realities. Then reality snapped back into focus, and the Nightingale was no longer in the hangar. They hovered 50 kilometers above Earth's surface, the curvature of the planet visible below them, the stars brilliant above. And surrounding the planet, invisible to conventional sensors but glowing like a violet membrane in their quantum-enhanced vision, was the consortium's suppression field. Field integrity holding, Michael reported, his voice tight with concentration. No detection alerts from consortium platforms. Elise studied the readings from their specialized sensors. The suppression field was exactly as they had modeled it, a complex lattice of quantum energy designed to prevent any vessel from passing through. But it had a fundamental flaw the consortium had never anticipated. It existed in only one quantum phase state. Initiating phase variance, she ordered. Thomas, keep the harmonic stabilizers aligned. The Nightingale's quantum drive began to pulse, its energy signature changing in ways that defied conventional physics. The ship wasn't trying to break through the field with brute force. Instead, it was subtly shifting its quantum state to exist in a phase space the field couldn't affect. Alarms suddenly blared through the cockpit. Consortium patrol ship at 3 o'clock. Mike Huddle warned. They've altered course. They might have detected us. Elisa's hands flew across her console. Hold phase variance. Let them pass. A massive consortium vessel, shaped like an elongated diamond with pulsing blue energy nodes along its hull, cruised within 5 kilometers of their position. By all rights, it should have detected them instantly. The Nightingale hung in space, its quantum state flickering like a candle in the wind. Long seconds passed as the alien ship continued its patrol route, sensors sweeping the area. Then it moved on, its engines flaring as it accelerated away. They didn't see us, Thomas whispered, almost afraid to believe it. Continuing phase variance, Elise said, forcing her voice to remain steadied despite her racing heart. Approached the field boundary. The Nightingale glided forward, approaching the violet quantum membrane that had kept humanity imprisoned for 6 decades. As they drew closer, their sensors provided a more detailed analysis of its structure. Layers of quantum energy that would destroy any conventional ship attempting passage. Phase variance at maximum, reported Thomas. Quantum state stabilized at offset pattern alpha. Here we go, Michael said, easing the ship forward. The moment of contact was anticlimactic. The violet energy of the suppression field simply passed through them, or more accurately, they passed through a quantum state where the field didn't exist. For a brief, breathtaking moment, the Nightingale existed between realities, neither fully in normal space nor completely phase-shifted. Then they were through. Position confirmed, Michael announced, his voice filled with wonder. We're beyond the containment field. We're free. Elise checked and rechecked their sensor readings, almost unable to believe they had succeeded. Beyond Earth's imprisonment, the stars looked different, brighter, closer, full of possibility. Take us out to Jupiter's orbit, she ordered. I want to confirm field stability at greater distance. As the Nightingale accelerated, its quantum drive operating more efficiently outside the suppression field's influence, Elise allowed herself a moment of reflection. Humanity had been contained but not broken. They had taken their confinement and turned it into the crucible of innovation. Near Jupiter's orbit, they observed a consortium outpost, one of dozens that maintained the suppression field. Up close, the alien technology was impressive, but no longer seemed intimidating. Humanity had been forced to develop along entirely different technological paths, and in doing so, had discovered approaches the consortium had never considered. We should head back, Thomas said after they had gathered sufficient data. The longer we stay out here, the greater the chance of detection. Elise nodded reluctantly. This taste of freedom made the thought of returning to Earth's confinement almost unbearable. But they had a mission: to bring back proof that humanity could break free. The return journey was uneventful until they approached the suppression field from the outside. Their sensors detected a subtle change in the field's harmonics. "They're adjusting the field," Elise realized with a jolt of concern. "They must have detected some kind of anomaly when we passed through." "Can we still get back?" asked Mikhail, tension evident in his voice. Elise quickly recalculated the phase variance. "Yes, but we'll need to shift to pattern delta. It'll put more strain on the drive." The Nightingale's systems groaned as they reconfigured the quantum drive. The ship shuddered. Components never tested under these conditions pushed to their limits. As they approached the field boundary, warning lights flashed across their control panels. "Field integrity at 70% and dropping," warned Thomas. "We need to cross now or abort." "Take us through," Elise commanded. The transition back was rough, the ship bucking like a living thing as quantum energies cascaded across its hull. For a terrifying moment, Elise thought they had miscalculated, that they would be trapped in between states, neither in normal space nor able to complete the transition. Then reality snapped back into focus, and Earth hung before them, beautiful and blue. "We did it," Mikhail whispered, voice hoarse with emotion. Elise nodded, already analyzing the data they had collected. "And now we know it's possible. The Nightingale is just the prototype. Operation Daybreak can proceed." Far away, in the consortium's primary monitoring station on Ganymede, an anomaly report was being filed. Something had disturbed the quantum suppression field. A minor fluctuation, barely worth noting. The automated system assigned it a low priority, adding it to the daily report under unexplained phenomena. Possible sensor malfunction. No one in the consortium could imagine that humanity had just taken its first step toward breaking free. On Earth, General Zhang received their transmission with carefully controlled excitement. "Return to base immediately. The Security Council is assembling." She paused, then added, "Well done, Nightingale team. You've just changed everything." As they descended back toward Prometheus base, Elise watched the curve of Earth grow larger in their view screen. The planet no longer felt like a prison. It was a launching pad. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Part 2. Breaking Chains. Admiral Victor Okafor stood before the assembled fleet commanders, his scarred face illuminated by the holographic tactical display. 6 months had passed since the Nightingale's historic breach of the consortium's suppression field. 6 months of feverish preparation, of ships being moved from hidden underground hangars to launch positions. "Operation Daybreak begins in 12 hours, he announced, his deep voice carrying across the command center buried 3 kilometers beneath the African plains. "The consortium still has no idea what we're capable of. Their patrol patterns remain unchanged, their suppression field modifications minimal." Around him, the commanders of humanity's secret fleet nodded. Each represented a vessel that by all rights shouldn't exist. Ships built from materials salvaged and reproposed over decades, powered by quantum drives that operated on principles the consortium had never explored. "The first wave will consist of 30 vessels," continued Admiral Okafor, highlighting their positions on the tactical display. "Their objective is to establish a perimeter beyond the suppression field and neutralize the nearest consortium monitoring stations. The second wave will follow 20 minutes later. 75 ships focused on securing the Sol system." Commander Elise Reeves, promoted after the Nightingale mission, studied the battle plan. The consortium outposts around Jupiter and Saturn would be their first targets, not for destruction, but for technological suppression. The aliens wouldn't be harmed unless they resisted. "And the diplomatic contingent?" she asked. Admiral Okafor nodded toward a cluster of 5 ships on the display. "They'll launch with the second wave, but hold position until we've secured the system. Once we control local space, they'll transmit our message to the nearest consortium hub." The plan was audacious. Rather than a slow, cautious expansion beyond Earth, humanity would emerge all at once, declaring their freedom as a fait accompli. The psychological impact would be as important as the tactical advantage. 12 hours later, Elise stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, a vessel 10 times the size of the Nightingale and infinitely more capable. Around her, crew members monitored systems that represented the pinnacle of human innovation: quantum communication arrays that couldn't be intercepted, adaptive hull materials that could reconfigure their molecular structure in response to threats, and weapons that operated through dimensional phasing rather than conventional energy discharge. "Quantum drive at full capacity," reported her first officer, Commander Rajiv Mehta. "All ships report ready for phase transition." Elise took a deep breath. "Initiate daybreak protocol." Throughout the hidden facilities across Earth, 30 vessels simultaneously activated their quantum drives. Unlike the Nightingale's cautious approach, these ships weren't trying to hide their emergence. They surged upward, phasing through kilometers of rock and soil before materializing in the skies above Earth. Consortium monitoring satellites immediately detected the massive energy signatures. Automated alerts flashed across alien networks as suppression field generators increased power, attempting to contain what they assumed was a minor breakout attempt. But humanity's ships didn't try to break through the field. They simply shifted into quantum states where the field didn't exist, passing through it like ghosts through a wall. "We're clear," announced Rajiv, barely containing his excitement. "All vessels report successful transition." The consortium suppression field had no effect. On the tactical display, Elise watched as humanity's first wave spread outward, accelerating toward predetermined coordinates. Almost immediately, consortium patrol vessels began moving to intercept, their formations precise and methodical, exactly as expected. "They're following standard containment protocols," she observed. "They still think this is a minor incursion." The Prometheus led a group of 5 ships toward a consortium monitoring station near Jupiter. As they approached, the alien facility activated its defensive systems, conventional energy barriers and weapon platforms designed to handle the occasional alien intruder or rogue asteroid. "No communication attempts from the station," reported Lieutenant Sophia Chen from the communications array. "They're charging weapons." Elise nodded. "Deploy phase disruptors." Non-lethal protocols. The Prometheus's unique weapons weren't designed to destroy. Instead, they projected focused quantum fields that temporarily disrupted electronic systems and neural networks. The alien station's defenses flickered and died as the invisible wave washed over it. "Station neutralized," reported Tactical Officer Lieutenant Commander Jackson. "No casualties detected. Their life support systems remain operational." Similar reports came in from across the system as human vessels systematically neutralized consortium outposts. The alien response was increasingly confused, their tactics designed for conventional threats utterly ineffective against ships that could phase between quantum states at will. 90 minutes into Operation Daybreak, the second wave emerged from Earth, 75 additional vessels joining the growing human fleet. Among them was the diplomatic contingent, 5 ships specifically designed to project humanity's message across consortium communication channels. "Admiral Okafor reports all primary objectives secured," announced Rajiv. "The Sol system is effectively under human control." It seemed impossible. After 60 years of containment, humanity had liberated their home system in less than 2 hours. The consortium forces, caught completely by surprise, had been neutralized without a single confirmed casualty on either side. The Aegis reports 3 consortium battlecruisers entering the system. Sophia called out. "They're approaching from the Kuiper Belt." These would be the first real test. Purpose-built warships rather than monitoring stations and patrol vessels. Elise watched as the tactical display updated, showing the massive alien vessels accelerating toward Earth. "All ships maintain positions," she ordered. "Let's see how they respond to our technological demonstration." The consortium battlecruisers were impressive, each nearly 2 kilometers long. bristling with weapon emplacements, and surrounded by energy fields that could withstand tremendous punishment. Under normal circumstances, even humanity's entire fleet might struggle against just one. But these weren't normal circumstances. As the alien vessels approached Jupiter's orbit, the diplomatic contingent activated their quantum communication array, broadcasting a message simultaneously across all known consortium frequencies. Attention consortium forces. This is the United Earth Fleet. We have secured the Sol system and neutralized your containment infrastructure. Your personnel are unharmed and will be returned to you. We request immediate diplomatic communication to establish peaceful relations. Further military action is unnecessary and inadvisable. The message repeated in multiple formats, including mathematical sequences and visual patterns designed to convey peaceful intent across potential language barriers. For several tense minutes, the consortium battlecruisers continued their approach, weapons charged. Then, abruptly, they slowed. "They're responding," Sophia reported, surprise evident in her voice. Text only, multiple encryption layers. The translated message appeared on Elise's display. "Unidentified human vessels. This is Consortium Command. Your actions constitute a severe violation of containment protocols. How did you bypass the suppression field? What is the extent of your capabilities?" Elise smiled. The question revealed more than any tactical scan could have. The consortium was genuinely shocked by humanity's emergence. "Send the prepared response," she ordered. The diplomatic vessels transmitted detailed information about humanity's quantum phase technology, not enough to replicate it, but sufficient to demonstrate that humans understood principles the consortium had never explored. They also included visual evidence of the underground civilization humans had built while pretending to be a broken, primitive species barely surviving on their radioactive homeworld. Hours passed as the standoff continued, the consortium battlecruisers maintaining position while presumably consulting with their higher authorities. Finally, a new message arrived. The Consortium High Council requests direct communication with human leadership. A diplomatic vessel will be dispatched to coordinates of your choosing. Admiral O'Cuffer's response was immediate. "Agreed. We will provide safe passage." 2 days later, Elise stood in the observation lounge of the diplomatic vessel Horizon as a consortium shuttle docked. No human had seen a consortium representative in person since the disastrous first contact 60 years ago. Historical records describe them as vaguely insectoid, with iridescent exoskeletons and compound eyes. The airlock cycled, and 3 consortium delegates entered, taller than humans, with slender bodies supported by 4 lower limbs, while 4 upper limbs carried various technological devices. Their compound eyes shifted colors as they took in the human delegation. "I am Senior Arbiter HFY," announced the central figure, its voice translated by a device at its throat. "I speak with the authority of the Consortium High Council." Admiral Okafor stepped forward. "I am Admiral Victor O'Cuffer of the United Earth Fleet. We welcome you in peace." The alien's compound eyes flickered with blue and purple lights, an emotional response impossible for humans to interpret. "Your species was deemed too dangerous for unrestricted space travel after the incident. The suppression field was designed to be impenetrable." "We didn't break your field," Elise explained, stepping forward. "We simply learned to exist in quantum states where it had no effect. Your containment was based on conventional understandings of physics. We were forced to look elsewhere." The consortium delegates conferred briefly in their own language before HFY responded. "Our analysis suggested your species would regress under containment. Instead, you have evolved in unprecedented ways." "Necessity drives innovation," replied Admiral Okafor. "We don't seek conflict with the consortium or any galactic civilization. We simply claim our right to exist among the stars." The negotiations continued for hours, the initial tension gradually giving way to cautious curiosity on both sides. The consortium delegates were particularly interested in humanity's quantum phase technology, an approach to physics they had never considered possible. "Your species thinks differently," Zelfar finally acknowledged. This presents both opportunity and concern. Different perspectives strengthen the whole, countered Elise. Humanity offers new approaches to old problems. We've already prepared technological packages that could benefit multiple species, medical techniques, resource management systems, environmental restoration methods. By the time the consortium delegation departed, the framework for a new relationship had been established. The suppression field would be dismantled, and humanity would gain provisional status in galactic society. Not full membership yet, but a path forward. As the alien shuttle undocked, Elise stood beside Admiral Okafor in the observation lounge, watching it depart. "They're still afraid of us," she noted. Okafor nodded, with good reason. "We accomplished in 6 decades what most species take millennia to develop. They contained us, thinking they were preventing a threat, but instead they created exactly what they feared, a humanity that evolved beyond predictable patterns." "And now?" she asked. "Now we show them why that's a good thing," he replied, gesturing toward the stars beyond the viewport. "They thought humanity was trapped on Earth, contained and controlled. Instead, we're about to help solve problems they've struggled with for centuries." Within weeks, human vessels began venturing beyond the Sol system, carrying scientists, diplomats, and innovators rather than weapons. The galaxy that had forgotten about Earth was about to discover that humanity had been silently ascending all along, and now they were ready to take their place among the stars.